I thought today that I would do a video about what tweakments procedures I've had done. I get asked so much and so many people speculate about it in the comments that it's just easier for me to come on here, I think, and answer all your questions. Also, if you have any questions of your own, please leave them below this video, and I will try my best to get answers for them even if I can't answer them myself. It's kind of hard for me to list it specifically because it's changed as I've got older. So I used to do things differently. I used to have Botox in my forehead. I don't have that anymore. And there was a period of time where I didn't have Botox at all and I just had fillers. So let me take you through what I currently have. Some time ago, during or shortly after COVID finished, I can't remember how many years ago that was. It's probably about, feels like 2 years, 18 months ago, perhaps, maybe a little longer. I had some filler in my cheekbones. It might be longer than that actually, and a little bit in the back of my jaw. What I felt was happening is that all this was getting, you know, was dropping a little bit, and this does happen. You know, you have to expect it, but there are things that you can do to kind of tighten that area, and one of them is to lift the cheekbones and tighten the jaw a bit by putting some filler in the back of the jaw there. It depends on the shape of your jaw whether you can get away with it or not, otherwise your face is going to get wider and wider and wider. And then maybe about a year or so later, I lost quite a bit of weight, and as you get older anyway, you lose a lot of volume in your face, and added to that was the fact that I lost quite a bit of weight quite rapidly. And so I suddenly had quite strong cheekbones, you probably noticed, and that would have been the filler and the weight loss. I had so many people message me and ask me if I'd had fat removal in here. I hadn't. You don't need to if you're in your 40s. It will just drop off naturally. That just happens. All the volume goes. Nobody is having that done in their 40s unless they're utterly nuts, because it will just happen anyway, and it's going to be super aging. So I didn't love how it looked, but it just happened. I'm one of those people that when I lose weight in my face first, or at the same time as everything else, but quite rapidly. I hold a lot of weight in my face and I lose it quickly there, so it becomes quite obvious. Anyway, around about that time, or maybe a little bit before, I started struggling with this eye watering, and it happened all the time. Like, it would just stream and it could last for weeks. And I noticed that it watered more when I had Botox in my forehead. So I realized it was something to do with, as I've got older, this eye is definitely, it's a different shape and it's a little bit more dropped. And so even though it's higher on my face, it's actually more dropped on the outside corner. And so I realized that Botox in the forehead, I obviously was needing those muscles in order to keep this eye from drooping. And when it droops, the skin is probably, the eyelid, the bottom eyelid is probably a little bit away from the actual eyeball, and it's creating my eye to water, which is super annoying. And then the eye can get sore and it makes it very hard for me to do any work, right? So I stopped having Botox. It still watered, but it wasn't as bad. Then I went to a dinner and I happened to be sitting opposite Dr. Wasim Taktuk, and I said to him, I really don't know what to do about this current thing. I can't have Botox, and he said, you shouldn't really have Botox in your forehead anyway, because of the shape of your face. You probably need it underneath your eyebrows to lift the area. So you've got two sets of muscles, one that pulls down and one that pulls up. So you paralyze the ones that pull down, and then everything gets more lifted, if that makes sense. So that's what I've had. So I don't have Botox in my actual forehead anymore. I have a tiny bit in here to numb, to paralyze my frown, because I'm a big frowner. And then I have under here somewhere. I'll put Wasim's details in the box below. And if you want to ask him any questions, he's probably super busy, but maybe if you leave the questions under here, he might be able to pop in and if you have any specific questions about that. So that's what I have. He does Botox every 3 months, just a little bit, just under here. You don't want to go crazy with it, because otherwise you could get quite high eyebrows, is what he told me. Obviously, I'm no expert. I'm just telling you what I was told. And it seems to have worked really well. And since I've had that done, that eye has not watered at all. So it's made a huge difference just numbing the muscles that pull down. And if you have a watery eye or watery eyes, then you'll know exactly what I mean. It's quite frustrating. So currently that's what I have. I have Botox under my eyebrows. Now, then I've also had recently, because I told you about the rapid weight loss, I've had filler in my temples. So if you go back maybe 4 or 5 videos, possibly a little more, but possibly only 4 or 5, you'll notice that my temples are very hollow in here. I hadn't noticed it before actually, but I knew that something didn't look quite right to me. Something looked different, and that's what it was. I'd lost volume in my temples, volume in here, just volume everywhere in my face. And so I haven't had any more fillers in my cheeks. I haven't had any more in my jaw because I don't need it. But I did have some here, just in my temples, about maybe a month ago. So that's what I currently have. I had filler in my lips possibly a year ago, and I haven't had it since. With the lips, I tend to try to let them go down completely before I do it again. Otherwise you start to get so used to it and you end up with really quite full lips, and it's just, I don't love it if it looks too unnatural for me. I'm not saying it doesn't look great on other people, it's your journey, but for me personally, you're probably sitting there thinking those don't look natural, but for me, you lose a gauge when you have it done frequently on what you were like previously. So I try to let things go back to as normal as possible before I do it again. And that is everything. That's everything that I've had. I have had some facials with Keren Bartov, who's amazing. And when I say facials, they're not like you put a bit of moisturizer on and then you take it off and then you put a scrub on and then a face mask. It's not that. So Keren has so many incredible machines, and they are, each one of these machines, if you was to go to a different clinic, you'd get one session of it. It'd cost you like $1,000. She does whatever you need in the space of a facial. It's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than having them done separately. So she'll look at your skin, she'll diagnose what you need, and then go from there. I mean, the results that she has with people with acne is unbelievable. So that is everything that I've had, I think. If there's anything else, if there's anything that you remember that I've said before but I haven't mentioned here, then just let me know, because sometimes you forget. Microblading, I haven't had it done since way before COVID. There's still a little bit in there, but I tend to just fill them in a little bit. It's just easy. I quite like that there's a little bit of a guide there, so they're never like 3 brow hairs how they were before. Anyway, that's everything. Thanks so much, guys. If you've got any questions, leave them below this, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.